ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to 42 Gear Street 2. And now I have the terrifying prospect of singing in a room with the lovely Valerie from Lewitt Mics. How are you?
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
Good stuff. We get to play with a new toy, a real prototype. This and this together, of course, are the Lewitt 1040. This is the prototype, of course. And they're 3D printed, right?
Yeah, it's 3D printed.
Yeah, but they're not going to be 3D printed for the production.
No, it's gonna be out of metal, so.
So it's going to be nice and steady. But that was so that if I got this right, you can, if the design needs a change, do it very quickly, print another.
Yeah, so the idea was to create the ultimate microphone system where you can very easily get the sound you are aiming for, and you can adapt it to the source.
Right.
So what it actually is, it's a tube microphone. You have the 4 different tube modes, which are clear, warm, dark, and saturated.
Great.
But so you have them on one output. You can mix them at the same time with a FET signal.
Amazing.
And what you also have, you have 2 outputs. So you have the tube output and you have an FET output.
Right. Oh, but the tube output you can mix. So if you want to use one cable and keep it simple, you can blend it how you like. But if you want to do it in the edit, like you would if you're a nerd like me, you can take 2 cables, turn this knob all the way to tube, and have 1 FET and 1 tube.
Yeah, that's correct. And what I also want to mention, you can do that on your sweet spot because you have here this remote control.
Oh yes, it lifts off, so you can have that on your desk.
Yeah, you can connect it via standard XLR cable.
That's amazing, because that means that I could have this part on my desk in the control room and the actual underneath the power supply next to the singer in the vocal booth. Control it remotely without having to go in every 5 seconds and go, sorry, coming in, change things. That's great, because that means I'm out of the way of the singer. They can be comfortable, they can be in their space, and I still get to play with toys. So let's start doing a little bit of a demo with this. So right now there's no pad on it, 0 attenuation. There's no cut on the low end either, but there are options here for 40, which is my favourite usually. It's you keep all the low end, but you get rid of any rumble problems. There's 80, which is more standard in a more busy band environment. And then 120 cut for if there's some sort of real low-end issue, you just clear it out in the microphone, which is great. And then there's these 4 tube models, which we'll look at now. So with a clever bit of editing, this first one, I think you're going to hear me first through the FET side, then the clear of the tube, and I will do that in the edit. So if I was to do a little bit of singing on the clear, just, ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah. Radio 4, Radio 4. You're listening to Radio 4. Radio 4, Radio 4. You're listening to Radio 4. I do love getting close on Valve microphones for that voiceover big sound. So I think this is the time to really look at the warm. And like you said, it takes a few seconds for it to readjust.
Just really with saturated because that's the biggest change, but yeah.
Okay. And so from what you were saying, it's not just it's not an EQ thing in the power supply. No, it completely changes the microphone.
It's all analog. It's different signal path we are using.
Right, great. And that's a big thing for me, because if it was just EQ, I have EQ. I could do the EQ, but it's not. And from what you were saying with the saturated mode, and we'll come to that, it changes the way the valve works, changes everything. And so on the warm side, let's see if I can hear myself on here. 1, 2. Radio 4, Radio 4. Coming up shortly, Mr. Scruff. Yes, we'll see how that sounds afterwards, but that's really nice. Another thing before we move on is I'm talking into the microphone backwards. The microphone looks lovely, and I'm showing you this valve that's through the glass. And if you were to look at a production model, you're going to go, hang on, Adam's talking into the wrong side of it. But not the case because of this wonderful switch here on the power supply, normal and reversed. So I reversed it, so the whole polar pattern inside the microphone changes backwards. So yes, I am talking into the back, but that switch means I'm not. Very clever. Very, very clever. I like that. It's a little touch that really, for an engineer, makes it for me, because if you realise you put the microphone up backwards, you can just, no problem. So let's look at dark. So I'm kind of really struggling to hear it because I've turned the level down on this little Zoom recorder we're using so far because I make lots of noise. So that, ooh, yeah. Radio 4, coming up shortly, the fishing forecast. So that one really does, I can hear that the top end is not super bright. I think that would work really well on singers who have quite a bright kind of nasal sound. Like the old thing about Michael Jackson is he used a microphone that didn't have much high-end kind of extra. And I think that's it can complement people without having to buy 3 or 4 different microphones.
That's the idea.
Yeah, I buy so many microphones in the studio. It's getting silly now because I have a wall full of them. It's like, why do you need this many? They sound different on different people. Every time I get a microphone that can do more than one sound, that becomes more valuable to me because I can just go different sound, that one, and not have to spend 20 minutes, take this down, put the next one up. That's really, really cool. So last but not least, we'll move it to saturated, see how this deals. I might have to put in the pad for this when I start going a little crazy, but we'll see. How long is it? Just a few seconds? Just
yeah, like you can see it here.
Oh,
Yeah,
right. So there's a
there's-
light that tells you that you're ready. The operational light. That's really useful. And I guess the microphone light is if you forget to plug it in and
Yeah,
no light.
exactly.
Yeah, that's a really good troubleshoot there. Again, thinking of the little details, because as an engineer, sometimes there are problems, and if you don't know where the problem is in the signal chain, you spend so much more time going, "Argh." But if I can look at that and go, the microphone light's not on, cable, idiot, then that works so much better. Now let's hear saturated. Ooh, yeah. Radio 4, coming up shortly, the shipping forecast. I think I can hear my glasses knocking on the pop filter, but that's how close I am, and this sounds on the headphones really nice. And then, take away the 40 hertz, move to a figure 8 polar pattern so we get even more low end, and that's going to pick up some more of the room, but I can move to a wider cardioid pattern, so I can move over here. So I've just changed the polar pattern from cardioid to a wider cardioid, which means that if I'm a singer who's a little less stuck in one place and I like to move a little too much, that should still sound really quite good from further away. I do sometimes have problems in the studio with a singer who's doing all this kind of stuff, and it's like, this is great, this sounds bad. It's like, stop moving, but figure 8, nice and big and bassy. I do like figure 8 sounds, although you have to be in the right room. In here, there's quite a lot of reverb that we can hear, and that's okay. It's a nice room. Henning, you got a nice place. I want your house. But that is the Lewitt 1040, and I'm really looking forward to putting it through its paces in my studio, get a full band. In the meantime, check the link in the description in this little thumbnail here. There's a performance of me and the amazing Sam Bell covering Norah Jones's song Turn Me On, using this mic and the 440 Pure, which I've set
Adam.
right here. Hi, Henning.
I just wanted to bug you again in your video.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, Henning.
Nobody can see me.
I didn't know there was a window up there.
There's a window up here.
Yeah, I nearly jumped out of my skin. But I have the voice of God, and it sounds like Henning. This is utterly bizarre.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bizarre. Henning Pauly, ladies and gentlemen, up in his little sky retreat. So, if you've liked what you've heard and the performance that's in the other video, which I've kept separate for, copyright reasons, then check out this. Do we have a rough idea of when these are going to be available?
In April next year.
Right.
That's what we're aiming for. But we're not in production yet, but it should be April.
Cool. But the fact that it's prototype stage and you can make them means that, you can keep improving. That's amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Valerie, for coming on the channel with me.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. And check out the Lewitt microphones. I've got the 440 Pure, which is going to be on the acoustic guitar, and the 1040, which is going to be on my voice. So check that out. Check out everything else from #42GS2 from all the other amazing guys that have been here this week. Thanks to Henning again. And I'll see you all in the next video. See you later.